Hello there, this is Jesse Coffee, and today I will be doing my Warner Brothers home media collection. I will begin with showing off the big W releases that I have. The releases from when the company used this logo were founded as WCI Home Video in late 1979. And this was one of their first releases, Superman the movie. Original video release for that film. This one is a 127-minute version. The film, I think, originally ran 143 minutes or something, and then it was heavily cut down for video back during the first release run. The closing, a number of non-dialogue scenes, ones where the characters weren't speaking, were sped up, among other things, and and then the closing itself was truncated. So it showed the MPAA stamp, then the poster credits for the film on it, then an announcement that in 1980 we would see the release of Superman 2, and then the Super 8mm version. I think that's when Jordan Rios put it when he uploaded the closing. The Super 8mm version of the warning at the end. This is the original release from 1979. Let's take it up there. They released titles on VHS and beta format, and the VHS and beta cases, Warner Home Video used Warner in both the WCI and Warner incarnations used pretty big boxes for VHS and beta, partly to accommodate the VHS. I think a little bit of cost savings as well. So here's Dirty Harry. This one is on beta, just to prove that point. I'm using the same big cases for VHS and beta. Original 1979 beta tape here. And little interesting note. Is that Warner releases on the inside touted, especially in the early days, that this home video program is presented in its original theatrical version, because their films, especially the newer ones that Warner did, well, the ones that were newer then, were pretty heavily edited for television, or had to be. So the only way you can get the actual unedited version is through either here or via their HBO subsidiary. Except HBO wasn't a subsidiary of Warner's then. There's next team, the locally filmed, yes, this was me here in Tucson, 1974 film, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, from Martin Scorsese. Took time out of New York to come to Tucson and film this. This a very good drawing from 1974, originally. Now, around mid-1980, they renamed the company after a few months from WCI Home Video to Warner Home Video, as you see up there. And this was also when Warner was starting to form their international divisions. So they only started to begin marking whether their tape was VHS or beta on the front and on the spine and the top. And now they were going a bit further. Because of those international divisions, Warner would try to indicate whether the tape was NTSC or PAL. Their earliest way of doing that was through little disclaimers that, like this one, which right on the back, this video cassette is for playback on American TV standard only, obviously referring to the NTSC format. This had a blue label on it. Then, Honeysuckle Rose, with Willie Nelson and his family, and also featuring Diane Cannon and Amy Irving, coming right off the theatrical release. By around later of 1980, they would reformat the warning text on the back, and then they would move it toward the bonnet. It would originally be right there, but later in 1980, they moved it down here. And the early Warner tapes had a little disclaimer in the warning text, which noted that the tape had stop copy protection, and wrote on there, your TV picture rolls when a cassette encoded with stop copy is played. Simply adjust the vertical hold control on your TV until the picture is stable. And the layout for where the cassette would be inserted varied from tape to tape. Sometimes it would have a red border, other times it would have a green one. And this is from 1981, the tape. And again, direct from the theatrical run. Appears to be an X rental of some sort. In 1981, in mid-1981, the middle of 1981, I think, mid or late 1981, they adopted a new cover artwork scheme, Warner did, where they would have a sort of dotted assembly giving way to a layer at the bottom that would indicate, that would be in a specific color denoted specifically for the category that Warner had filed the tape under. So this is The Late Show, which is filed under adult drama. Original video release of this great murder mystery. A nice little throwback to 40s film noir. in 1977. Lily Tomlin and Art Carney in there. Along with a worked out Blockbuster sticker, and this actually has the Blockbuster label on the tape itself. And also, it appears to be a much later printing, but it uses the same tape master as suggested. Now, the purple print date had long since covered off. The print date at the top, though, is September 20th, 1990. And yet it's run from the original 1981 master. Or 82, rather. And this was from the West Coast division of American Recording Systems Incorporated, originally. And then it ended up at a Blockbuster of some sort. Here's an Orion Pictures film that was released by Warner on VHS. Orion had a distribution deal with Warp. Was a mini-major film studio of the 1980s that had originally had its films under a deal with Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers still owns the Orion films they distributed. This included among the films that Orion released through Warner was Heartbeat, adult drama as filed. So in the it was set in the during the B generation. It revolved around the various characters from that. Yep, there's the same text, playback on American TV standard only. I'm assuming that the stop copy protection wasn't used on Canadian copies of Warner tapes. There's the tape itself. Now, early Warner tapes that came in this kind of packaging usually had their own little black label on them that looked kind of like this. And that same design would apply to the end label as well. And so Cray, I have no idea where that is. I have no idea what that is stamped on this side. Now, around 1982, they would put these Warner releases in big box clamshell cases. Still going with the big box motif, but this time putting it in interchangeable clamshell form. And one of their first releases in the format was Soup for One. This one is a 1981 Woody Allen-esque film made by Jonathan Coffer. This is a 1982, whatever this film. There's the tape. There's an end label. The Davis Video Library in Loveland, Colorado, this came from. They have another sticker on the back where it just says Davis TV and Video. Also had a location in Fort Collins. And the print date is July 16th, 1982. This one doesn't have the Warner Brothers logo at the beginning for some reason. And I have a habit at times of making my own copies of certain tapes that were from different eras. These were intended, I think, for personal use. This is one of the copies I made of an actual Warner release. This one is the Green Santini Family Classic Explorer, 1979. I made the Canadian copy. And I would have saved the next tape. And they even got the label right. They used, in Canada, they used a big label that went across from this part of the tape to down there. And I think that would accommodate the beta as well. These stickers. Have a look at the little stickers that I put on all over the place. Then Green Sand, Caddyshack would be the other one that I made my own Canadian copy, the actual one, a videotape of. So I made from 1981. Even 10 there anyway. Tape. Well, there's video limited. I was mostly copying what I saw on the internet. As far as the aesthetics were concerned. Here's a more actual Warner tape. What? And here's an actual Warner release from 1982, I think. An actual copy of a Warner video release, anyway. This one is Personal Best, 1982, adult drama. Pretty groundbreaking one in the LGBTQIA community, A+ community. With Mariel Hemingway in there. And a tape from 1982. There's the Warner Home Video Boss logo inside. Here's the team itself. Sticker where it appears. There should be just a warning on there. Video 4. And the print date is very badly faded out, but I can still read it. I believe it's July. It's September 25th, 1982. I think that is. Yes. And this tape is from an era where Warner was having a little experiment on their tapes, at least as far as new movies were concerned. They would have, they would put previews at the end of the tape for some of their releases that had been new at the time. The three that are on here, I believe, Rollover, Sharky's Machine, and Body Heat. and they're all TV spots for those movies. Nothing theatrical as far as the spots are concerned. That experiment only lasted, I think, for a few months in 82, 83, and then they just went back to just using the movie on the tape, and that would be it. Here's Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee film. You can see the tape already got out of the case there. (1983). This is from. There's the tape itself. Duke's Video Movies, etc. Down there. And very faint. April 25th, 1984, I think that reads. And yet, after playing it, I think a couple of times through, what happened? This is a broken tape. I've been trying to get someone to fix it. I got no answer any time that I did ask someone to fix it. It's just something I can, and it's just because something I keep around, because I never found another Big W copy of this anywhere. It's also the only Bruce Lee movie I have, I think. Here's Enter the Dragon. No, we're done showing that. This is National Lampoon's Vacation. First in the famous series, starring Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Imogene Coca, and Randy Queen in the film. It's kind of interesting. His most famous role is Cousin Eddie, and now he's a slightly more deranged version of Cousin Eddie. Randy Quaid, that is. If you looked at his Twitter account, you'd know what I mean. You'd also know what I mean if you see him in the news. Alright, now I'm gonna bring the conversation back around to this tape. At one point during 1986, Warner was keeping, during the early part of when they were transitioning from the Big W to the Cheesy Show logo, they would keep their Big W tapes in print, and then they would run the tapes. They would keep the Big W masters around and use them when they wanted to emit a tape with the newer logo on it. Let's peel this label back to see what the print date is. And the print date is March 6, 1986. Next, we have Joni Mitchell, Shadows and Light. This one is filed under music. And explain this release on the Big W label. Warner had a very huge record division. But at the time, none of the labels under that division had their own video labels. So whenever they issued a tape, they would put it on Warner Home Video proper. And this is a relic from that particular era, before the foundation of such companies as A-Vision, which was Atlantic's video subsidiary, or Elektra Video, I think. and Water Reprise video, which this would have fallen under if it existed, because she was on Warner Brothers, the label, the recording company. If we got that photo in there. There's the this little end label that fell inside here. Tape itself. And print date is hold on, let me take a little slip of whatever that is. You can see what it is. Print date is April 19th, 1984, I believe. No, April 16th, 1984, actually. That's the print date for this one. This is a concert tape. Here's a tape that I think is fully functional, but yet, when you look at the tape, inside, you'll it would look rather abnormal, but I think it plays okay. From when I popped it in, this would be Finian's Rainbow, musical from 1968. It starred Fred Astaire and Petula Clark. And I think this was Fred Astaire's last musical. And he went on to just acting after this one. This also, I think, was the first film from Francis Ford Coppola, who later went on to make The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. Well, one of the first, actually. And there's the end label of the tape itself. You see the shell already starting to come apart. That's stuff from National Video there. Please rewind me when I'm done. A little music, pretty amusing. And looks like a bit of the print date sticker made it off. So I can't really tell when this was printed. A little bit of the print date sticker made off the end label. And popped it in, it played fine. It's just that the tape shell is it's seen better days. And here's the in-laws. Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. Pretty funny movie from This was a very funny movie from 1979. I think this tape is from 1984. The 1980 date is incorrect. It's the one given on the back, and that's incorrect because back in 1980, they were using the cover design that I showed earlier for their tapes. This cover design I showed when I was showing the VHS of Superman and the beta of Dirty Harry. And also the VHSs of Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore and Honeysuckle Rose. That's the packaging that Warner was using back in 1980. They weren't using this case in 1980, as already established. You kind of get the hint, though. And, I'm taking a look at the end label. And we're going to peel it back and show the printing on here. It's a little beat up, but I can still read it. Hold on. January 20th, and what was the year? 1986. So the print date was January 20th, 1986, and this was formerly the property of someone named Carrasco, whoever he was. Okay, and here we have the main event. 1979 Glove Story. Yes, it was filmed. Another 1979 Warner Brothers film. Routine Barbra Streisand and Ryan O'Neal after What's Up Doc, which is a great film. I haven't seen this though. Here's tape itself. Also show the end label up here. It's a big which is a bit crinkled up, so you can see. It's another Cheesy Shield reprinting, but I think it's still off the original tape master. January 22nd, 1986 is the print date. And Barbra Streisand was in a number of Warner Brothers films back in the 70s. Here's Executive Action. This was a National General movie originally. National General was a movie theater chain that also released a few movies back in the early 70s, mostly in the early 70s. And it's been owned. Its film library is owned by Warner Brothers since the chain closed and went off to band theaters. Executive Action, I think, is one of those John F. Kennedy assassination conspiracy films. It's a 1983 tape. Here's what it looks like. This is another Cheesy Shield reprint. And this time it's a much later one. Manufacturing date is September 5th, 1990. Yep, there it is. And print date was September 8th of that year. Hold on. Okay, open this up. Then we have What's Up Doc itself, with Barbra Streisand and Ryan O'Neal, of course. Peter Bogdanovich film. Peter Bogdanovich was a great filmmaker, who I think will be very much well missed. This is a 1984 tape of the film. Yeah, another Cheesy Shield printing. Carrasco. It used to belong to. And the print date again on here. We'll get to it. January 23rd, 1986. So presumably they were this film, the in-laws and the main event were printed within days of each other. And then at one point, Carrasco's had never in mind. House of Wax. This one is a horror film, and you can't have a great horror film without Vincent Price now, can you? A great old-time horror film, that is. This is 1983. tape here. Another tape I made myself. And the film print that I used was from the actual DVD release. I put a print date up here. November 1st, 1984. About Blood Brothers next. It's Paul Sorvino, Tony Lamonco, and Richard Gere. One of his earliest films. 1984 release as well. Another much later printing, and you can see that it's definitely much later printing because you don't see the Warner Brothers logo anywhere inside the case now, do you? Okay, we'll see what the print date is on this. I think there was a day and year code, but it got faded out. Print date is March 8th, 1991. And by around that time, they were starting to mark their tapes as being in hi-fi. And they put on their end labels that the linear audio tracks on this tape have been encoded with Dolby B-type noise reduction if the tape was in mono. Or in an earlier version of stereo. Here's The Night at the Movies. This is an interesting series. It was their first series prepared directly for video. And what it offered was not only the film, but also a set of newsreels of current events from the spotlight a year, and set of previews were films that Warner had on file that were going to be released in that specific year. Or were. Some of which I think were on tape at the time. Some of which I think were on tape back in the early 80s. Others weren't. Yeah, that's interesting. Warner Brothers on this tape had a newsreel about Elvis going to the Army, and they just did a movie about Elvis. Fascinating. And the film in question is Annie Mame. The episode is 1958. And these would be 2 tape sets, and they would have a newsreel, a preview of coming attractions, and they were also the first video releases of a Looney Tunes cartoon. Because there was usually one on every tape in the series. So for 1958, the Looney Tunes cartoon on there was Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner in Hook, Line, and Stinker. These are much later printings as well. We're going to reveal the printing on this first one, which is October 7th, 1989. For the first tape, this set. Here's tape B. Let me turn it around so I can face the camera. This one was also printed October 7th, 1989. Yeah, another Warner tape I made myself. Next, it's The Never-Ending Story. Great film. Wolfgang Pearson. There it is. A little bit of that. print date is I put up there is November 5th, 1984. The most recent Big W clamshell tape I have is of Tightrope with Clint Eastwood, who made many movies for Warner Brothers. Very good, had a very good relation with that studio, it would seem. And this tape is from 1985. And it was also one of the first Warner tapes to be closed captioned for the hearing impaired. Warner had a very long relationship with the National Captioning Institute. Used them for up until 2002. One of the longest running video companies to have dealings with the NCI. The oldest provider of closed captions anywhere in the world. As a lot of us know. And the printing on here is March 29th, 1985. This one has a preview at the beginning for Set Heat, which Eastwood was also in. Warner had a pretty slow transition between the 3 or 4 logos that they went through. Starting to use the newer ones on print before they went on to use them on their regular releases. So here's the Ballad of Cable Hogue. Sam Peckinpah, Western from 1970. Purchased from Blockbuster on February 24th, 1994. And this was also an ex-rental from a company called Errol's, which is one of those stores that Blockbuster bought out. Must have been there before Blockbuster bought it out, and they think they were responsible for cutting down the case as well. Print date is November 25th, 1985. Comes in a nice red case. Alright, I have here a copy of Creepshow. This one I made myself. Made a Canadian copy as well. And here are some of the very last ones. So this one is from November of 1985, and it's the original video release of Gremlins. '84 classic. Joe Dante. Sequel's also great. There it is. Here's the end label. And the print date on here is August 11th, 1986. Yellowish looking wheels there. The other copy I have of Gremlins was one I made myself. I struck it from this tape and added the Canadian. And the only difference between this and this, would be on this tape I used the Canadian warnings at the beginning. differentiate the two. So there's the tape for my homemade Canadian copy. Here are titles from Warner's Golden Jubilee collections, whereas the first video releases of their own cartoons on anything resembling a regular basis. So I have the Daffy Duck The Nuttiness Continues. And it's fully animated, it says there. And these were marked as being for 1998. These had usually 8 cartoons per tape. A description written by the great Leonard Maltin. Here it is. This one came from Duke's Video Movies, etc. as well. Print date is September 24th, 1985. And then the other one is Sylvester and Tweety's Crazy Capers. These were when they were introducing the Cheesy Shield. They were pretty slow at it. They just used I think initially what they did was they used the Big W Masters. They cleared out whatever they had, the Big W, and then introduced the Cheesy Shield later, somewhere down the line, in early '86. Print date is October 27, 1986, and I think this still uses the Big W Master on there. We'll pop it in soon, when I get a new VCR to confirm it. I'll see you in the next video, but first I'll show you a miscellaneous tape. Or not. I'll see you in the next video.